Hello, it's Wyatt and stuff, and today I'm just gonna say hi because I haven't done so in a long time. Now that being said, where have I been? Um, Thinking of random theories about the world. But that's not the point. Today, I wanted to discuss MBTI or the Myers-Briggs type indicator. Sorry, I had to think through that. Now, you might be saying, what's that? And I totally get you. Actually, I really don't, because how do I wear this correctly? It's so hard to do so. Um, so yeah, I studied the cognitive functions of each. I could probably give you a detailed thing on that, except for probably introverted intuition. I could probably do that. I don't know. But anyway, based on that, what am I? Well, I'm an INTP. Now, INTPs are apparently antisocial, which is accurate to an extent. Depending, every INTP is different, but then again, everyone in a personality type is different. Now, I'm going to go through the cognitive functions of the INTP and how ESFJs, my opposite type, can be pretty, I don't understand them. I do know an unhealthy ESFJ. Um, Not good. Definitely not good to be around. Definitely, um, but I'm talking about healthy ESFJs. Um, so what's the dominant function? No, wait, hold on. Let me just try and structure this a bit better. There's four main cognitive functions, which includes your dominant, your auxiliary, your tertiary, and your inferior. Now, the dominant function, which in um the dominant and inferior functions will be the opposite, and the auxiliary and the tertiary functions will be the opposite. Now, the dominant function of the INTP is TI, or introverted thinking. You could basically tell introverted thinkers anything, they will process it through a logical process in their mind. Now, this one, a lot of the time it's searched for logical clarity based on their own assumptions. They don't take it from the outside world. They don't take their logic from the outside world and push it back out. Like a lot of, I don't know what personality type. I think it's like sensing judges or something that do that a lot of the time. I don't really know too much about that. Um, but yeah, now, since the dominant function is used the most, well, the dominant and auxiliary are used the most, although the dominant more so. Because of that, that means I'm introverted. That means I don't really, you know. But anyway, the next cognitive function of the INTP is extroverted intuition. Also, I should probably say this beforehand, but I probably will make a video on all 8 cognitive functions. Maybe. Anyway, extroverted intuition. What is extroverted intuition, you may ask? Well, it's taking outside ideas and turning them into your own. Basically, coming up with all possibilities at once before shooting them out or doing nothing about it, because a lot of us don't really do that. We make ideas, a lot of ideas, and I definitely do, but the problem with any is that it can become a little bit too out of this world to place it into reality. But there is a solution. Now, TI can process this logically. Since TI is the dominant, it can still overpower the auxiliary function, but the auxiliary function is used. Now, because the auxiliary and tertiary are opposites, this means they're more balanced between each other, but the tertiary is more or less a supporting function. It doesn't really do much. Now, this tertiary function Introverted sensing. It's taking past details and turning them into a decision based on what sensory you've gone through in the past. Now, I tend to go through past details a lot, but it's not really like sense, it's like touching things. I mean, it can be. Depends if I'm trying to make a decision based on what is. I don't really think of practical solutions too often, so I mainly, especially when I don't have to do it, but if I do, then I probably might use introverted sensing, although it's really weird. I don't know how to describe it. And the final function of the INTP, the inferior function, FE, or extroverted feeling. Now, this is being empathetic towards others. Basically, taking an emotional stimulation from the outside world. Because I'm not an FI user, I don't feel, I do have the ability to use this function because I reflect a lot on all the cognitive functions and how I use them. Now, you should balance, if you really want to, you should balance TI and FE, which is something I try to do because I don't know, I like to be able to see all sides, but I'm not gonna be I might be analytically empathetic, but I'm not gonna be like, okay, so here is how you should feel about this. No. Also, FE users will probably base their feelings on other people, which is something I don't really like. Well, that's high FE users, like the ENFJ and ESFJ. And I don't know what other. I think it's INFJ and ISFJ. Yep, those other two. But yeah. The cognitive function stack. Now, how do I use each one? Well, first of all, TI, or introverted thinking, as I explained, is the process of processing things logically. I said processing twice in a row. Now, because of this, we are very precise. We like to be very precise. We will take in things, we will try and process them logically, and come to a concise conclusion. I like to be very precise with mine to make sure that it's very accurate and not based on objective opinions, like how people feel, although, because it's a kind of a colder function if you want to base it on that. Now, extroverted intuition. I use this one a lot as well. It's like, idea. I come up with a lot of ideas. That's why I procrastinate on these videos, because I don't know what to do. You're welcome. Because I don't come up with an idea and just go with it. I refine the ideas. I look through other ideas. I look through all other perspectives. And somehow I managed to go with, like, a ridiculous amount of poems, like 40 in a week. I'm not joking, and it was this last week. Why? Why am I like this? Well, I don't really know, and I really can't tell you. Introverted sensing. This one can help you stay down to earth. It definitely helps to look at realistic point of views on the past experiences. It definitely is probably it's probably under any of, like, the tertiary and inferior functions are more or less not as important, but they should be there. They should definitely have their place, but they're not going to be there all the time. You're not going to default to them. You're going to default to, in my case, TI, which the other TI dominant personality is an ISTP. Finally, the last function, FE, or extroverted feeling. This one I have a weird relationship with because it takes a lot of, like, external feeling to make me feel something, but I'm empathetic at the same time. But I don't know how to use that empathy. I don't know how to place it into the world. I don't know. I really don't. It's a really weird kind of concept. Now, how do I view my opposite personality type? ESFJ. Oh, yeah, I should have said INTPs stand for introverted, intuitive thinking and perceiving, and ESFJ is extroverted, sensing, feeling, and judging. Now, ESFJ, probably one of the most understood types out of all of them, and yet I can't understand them that much. I can write a poem about them based on what I feel is the opposite. Well, I think is the opposite. Well, I guess it is feeling because it's not what I would normally do. Now, healthy ESFJs might tend to be empathetic, but they might judge people too much, even healthy ones, because they'll be always like, they'll try not to be judgmental. I feel like that would be like, although they're probably gonna lie more, I don't really like that. I find them difficult to be around because I always try to stay away from the extroverted types usually because I'm not super in the extrovert. I'm more introverted. Well, I think that's obvious. Um, so I stay away from that kind of environment. And so, like, if someone tries, like, an ESFJ, they'll be all over me, and I'll be like, okay, okay, leave me alone. But here's the thing about ESFJs. Um, I know an unhealthy one, and they can be quite narcissistic if they're unhealthy. But again, healthy ESFJs are very practical. They're very emotion based. They could probably counteract. We could probably counteract each other if we worked together. But ESFJs, I mean, I would work with an ESFJ. But I don't know if the ESFJ is willing to work with me because they're so fixated on tradition that it just kind of bothers me that they cannot fix their thinking to be more open-minded. But at the same time, they could like, this is if things go really well, but I don't know. I don't really know. It's hard to describe an ESFJ. Okay. Well, thank you for listening to my rambling for I don't know how many minutes this is. We'll see. I mean, I'm a very big rambler. Um, that's an INTP thing. I might actually just do MBTI things from now on. I might not. I might do MBTI skits on personality types and how I would view them. That actually might be a good idea. That might actually be fun. That I don't mind that. I don't mind switching up my ideas all the time. I get ideas all the time anyway. I can't stay on one thing at a time. Can't stay on a structure that I even made months ago, actually last year, which is still months ago because it was in November, not March. Um, so yeah, I don't remember the outro. I should probably look at the outro. I will look at the outro. I think it's, be kind to others. That's all I really have to say. Be kind to others and treat them with human dignity and that kind of stuff. See you in the next video. And hopefully it is not in a month's time.